Hey there! Did you know Baker's always gives you savings and rewards on top of our lower-than-low prices? And when you download the Baker's app, you'll enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons. And don't forget fuel points to help you save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. Want to save even more? With a Boost membership, you'll get double fuel points and free delivery. So shop and save big at Baker's today. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
This episode is brought to you by Paramount Plus. Ewan McGregor stars as Count Alexander Rostov in A Gentleman in Moscow, the new limited series based on the best-selling novel. Stream it on March 29th with the Paramount Plus with Showtime plan. Visit ParamountPlus.com to try it free.
When you hear this, what do you feel? At IMAX, you'll feel transported by our unique sound system and crystal clear images. Like you're running across a desert planet or defending your city from a surprise invasion. With immersive IMAX sound and screens curved to show more, we take fans to the edge of their seats. Get tickets to Dune Part 2 now and experience it in IMAX's exclusive expanded aspect ratio.
Hey everyone, welcome to this edition of Spin Shuffle Skip on the There Can Only Be One podcast channel, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Now, one of the nice things about this little mini show that you get every other week is that we get to talk about bands that we wouldn't normally have a chance to talk about on There Can Only Be One, because There Can Only Be One has an album minimum. You know, it's kind of like the 2-drink minimum. You know, you have to have at least 5 albums for us to be able to talk about the artist. But some of these groups have fewer than 5 albums. And that's because they may fall under that side project label. Well, this one falls under the supergroup label. And here to join me on the show is my super wife, Carrie. Carrie, how are you doing today?
Super wife.
Yeah, complete with costume and cape, which I don't know why you're wearing a cape in the basement, but
I forgot my cape today.
You forgot your cape.
I forgot my super suit.
Honey, where's my super suit? We are talking today about an absolute supergroup. Like when you listen to the list of bands that these members have been parts of and members of, it's insane. It's like a who's who of rock and metal. Like, just listen to this group of artists, okay? Journey, Guns N' Roses, Mr. Big, Dream Theater. Like, blows my mind the level of talent in this band. We're talking about Sons of Apollo, and we're specifically talking about their first album, Psychotic Symphony. Now, we actually had the chance to see Sons of Apollo when they were here in Toronto playing at the Opera House, which was interesting, especially when the front of house blew and they had to power everything back up and then pick up a song mid-song, which, again, incredibly talented, but, you know, I digress. To go see Sons of Apollo, though, to go see this supergroup in a small venue, like, how cool was that?
Oh, any chance that we get to see any band especially in the Opera House, like
that venue is iconic.
Remember seeing Anthrax?
Remember me playing there?
Oh,
right.
Wow.
Yeah, no, that venue is so good. And kudos to Mike Portnoy, who has now rejoined Dream Theater, but it's been pretty much said that Sons of Apollo is no longer going to be happening because, of course, Portnoy's back with Dream Theater. Derek Sherinian and Bumblefoot Thal are actually working on a project together themselves. So hope you enjoyed it while it lasted. 2 albums only. That's what we got. 2 albums and a live album. But
Bumblefoot was touring recently, weren't they?
Yes, Bumblefoot is actually part of a group called Art of Anarchy. Very, very good musically, but Bumblefoot's in very, very high demand, so you can't go wrong there. But let's get into what we're going to do. We are going to be talking about the debut album, Psychotic Symphony, and we're going to be talking about picking songs, specifically 3 of them, a spin, a shuffle, and a skip. The spin is the one that we're probably going to put on the minute that CD is in the disc. The shuffle is one that, hey, you know what? If it comes on, cool, I'm good with it. And the skip is one that is less than super from the supergroup. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad song. It just means that for some reason or another, it just doesn't click with our individual ears, and that's okay. But let's get into the background of this album. It was released October 20th, 2017. Of course, I've mentioned some of the members. The band is Jeff Scott Soto on vocals, Ron Bumblefoot Thal on guitar, Billy Sheehan on bass, Derek Sherinian on keyboards, and Mike Portnoy on drums. There were 3 videos done for this album for the songs Coming Home, Alive, and Lost in Oblivion. Again, stupid talented band. Like, every member has so much talent in like on stage and in the studio, and it's, as a musician, I love it and hate it at the same time because I'll never be that good. But I also want one of those double neck basses. Just saying. I'm just saying. I
mean, the bass was impressive. That had to be heavy.
Well, I have talked to our good friend Leo, and listeners, you haven't met Leo yet, but if you actually go and watch the old podcast I did many, many moons ago, Made You a Mixtape, I interviewed Leo Gray on that show. Go have a listen to that episode. But he had told me that because he's got one of those double neck guitars, and it is ridiculously heavy. You're not wrong there. But the thing is, both Bumblefoot and Billy Sheehan had double neck guitars on stage the entire show. It's not even like they pulled it up for one song. The entire goddamn show.
Which is impressive. Like,
yeah,
they must be tired at the end of the night.
Yeah, it's literally like 4 necks of guitar from 2 guitar players, multiple drums from 1 drummer, multiple keyboards for one keyboardist, and multiple octaves from 1 singer. So, it's going to be good.
They need one of those harem scarum guitar stands.
We saw Harem Scarum in Oshawa while Stan Milchick was playing bass with them. And I guess there was something up with his back or something like that, because he had the bass on a stand, which, as I'm getting older, I'm starting to think that that's actually not a bad idea.
Which was brilliant.
Oh, absolutely. But let's get to the picks. And what is your spin pick off of Psychotic Symphony?
I'm spinning Alive based on the vocals. This song just absolutely showcases the vocalist talent.
Oh, yeah. Jeff Scott Soto is phenomenal. You have to be, if you're going to be a part of Journey. Like, you just have to be. Alive is actually my shuffle pick on this one. And it's literally for the harmonies. Like, between Jeff Scott Soto and Bumblefoot, like, their vocalization together. And by the way, if you had a chance to listen to their live album, they do a cover of Dream Theater's Just Let Me Breathe. And Bumblefoot takes the lead vocals at one point, and he freaking nails it. But for me, for this song, it's the bridge. Like, the jaded, I'm jaded. And I cannot do it justice, but bear with me here. Go listen to the song so you can hear it done properly. Freaking love the bridge on this. It's amazing. So yes, that is my shuffle pick. But for my spin, I went with the first song I heard from them, Coming Home. That song, killer groove on it, killer guitar work, killer bass work. But the funny thing is, this reminds me of an upbeat feel of a song that would have fit on Train of Thought from Dream Theater. And that was one of their heavier albums, but it had a much more upbeat, up vibe kind of feel to it.
This episode is brought to you by Paramount Plus. An unlikely friendship begins in the Paramount Plus original movie Little Wing, starring Brooklyn Prince with Kelly Riley and Brian Cox. Reeling from her parents' divorce, Caitlin steals a valuable bird to save her home, but instead forms a bond with the owner, leading to a new outlook on life. Little Wing, now streaming exclusively on Paramount Plus. Head to ParamountPlus.com to try it free. Rated PG-13.
This episode is brought to you by Pepsi Wild Cherry. Pepsi Wild Cherry is bursting with delicious cherry flavor and a sweet, crisp taste that gives you more to go wild for. Getting wild may look different these days, but whether it's opting for a solo Friday binge watch or a big night out, everyone can indulge in their wild side with Pepsi Wild Cherry. Also available in Zero Sugar. So grab a Pepsi Wild Cherry and get wild.
But now that I'm 2 songs down, we turn to you for your shuffle pick.
All right, so I have to shuffle the God of the Sun.
Good song.
Now, I did a little research and I did a little bit of reading. And Sons of Apollo, interestingly enough, the song God of the Sun is actually technically incorrect. Helios was God of the Sun.
And Apollo is the god of song.
Apollo is the god of lightning and...
But let's be honest, Apollo kind of gets, linked in with pretty much everything. But, when the band was putting together the name of the band, Apollo was chosen because he's known as also as the god of music. But if you're the god of everything, that kind of counts as well, right? But they were like, well, there's got to be another band out there called Apollo. So they're like, had a bunch of ideas in a hat, and there's like, hey, Sons of Apollo. And it worked. And musically, it definitely worked. But God of the Sun definitely feels like one of those, it feels like a Dream Theater track. And when you're listening to this, of Mike Portnoy's side projects and different bands that he was a part of, from the time he left Dream Theater to the time that he's back in Dream Theater, you had different vibes in each group. If you listen to the Winery Dogs, that's more of a, I don't want to say more radio friendly, but it's definitely a more mainstreamed kind of almost blues groove at times. And a lot of that has to do with Richie Kotzen and his work on there. If you listen to Flying Colors, it's a bit more of a dialed back prog as opposed to a hard hitting Dream Theater style prog. Adrenaline Mob was just a straight banger of a band for as long as he was there. And all the other projects that Mike Portnoy was part of, including Metal Allegiance, which you kind of get the idea of that based on the name. This album really felt like he was getting back to that Dream Theater style prog metal, prog rock groove. And this song being the first song on the album almost put the stamp on the ground saying, yes, Dream Theater fans, you're going to freaking love this. And I think having a couple of Dream Theater songs on the live album as well really kind of heralded maybe where Mike Portnoy's head was that. But yes, God, and keep in mind too, Derek Sherinian was part of Dream Theater as well. Like it's not a surprise that a band with two members of Dream Theater is going to sound a little bit like Dream Theater. It makes total sense.
I think it's interesting that I actually picked this song because it has like almost 3 different songs all encompassing into one.
Yeah. And it's funny because you normally are not the biggest fan of songs with lots of changes in it. So for this to be your shuffle skip or your shuffle pick tells you everything you need to know about how good this song is. But now that we're 4 songs down, we get to our skip pick. So Carrie, off of Psychotic Symphony, what is your skip song?
Okay, so my skip is actually laughable, and I'll tell you why. Because as I was searching through the song titles, I saw explicit lyrics under one of the titles, and that would be Figaro's Whore. Now, when I played the song out of, I was intrigued. I'm like, oh, this one has explicit lyrics. It was an instrumental song.
It's a 1 minute, 4 second instrumental song.
I was like, so Spotify put the E based on the title, I guess?
Because of whore.
There's no words to it.
I think it's literally because of the word whore. I think that's it. That's the explicit lyric. It's the title.
There it is.
Exactly. Which I guess if you can get an explicit lyrics label on an instrumental, that must mean some really dirty ass keyboard work.
I mean, I was waiting for, maybe the reverse messages, or maybe I should play the song backwards or something. Maybe
if you play it backwards, all you hear is Figaro, Figaro, Figaro. No.
Yeah.
No.
I'm like, what does this have to do with Figaro?
I mean, I guess if you're going to pick a skip off of this album, the 1 minute and 4 second instrumental, you're picking the shortest song, so I kind of get it.
Well, I mean, me and instrumentals. Like, as soon as the guitar solo starts in any given show, concert, to me, that is my bathroom break. I'm like, okay, I'm out.
And yet the guitar work and the soloing on this album is actually really sweet. Like Bumblefoot has some phenomenal phrasing in his guitar work.
And it's not that it was bad. It's just not my cup of tea.
And that's okay. My skip pick, it might actually surprise you because it's another one of those songs with a lot of changes in it. And that's kind of my jam sometimes, is Labyrinth. And I feel a little bad about that because in an interview, Portnoy actually said that this was his favorite track on the album. But there's a lot of different unusual time signature changes and, musical left turns at Albuquerque in this. And I guess because songs like God of the Sun and Signs of the Time have those same elements, but they hit a little better for me. Labyrinth, of all the songs on here, it's the one that hit with me the least, and which is surprising considering my musical taste. And if you want to hear my musical taste on something similar to this, go back and listen to the There Can Only Be One episode on Dream Theater. We went for a while on that one with Just Cause.
Which is very, akin to a Dream Theater song.
Yeah, exactly. Our episode,
20 minutes.
Our episode is as long as a Dream Theater song. There you go. Which, by the way, our guest on that one, Sean Faust, I totaled up the length of the songs that he had picked from the Dream Theater discography, and it was closing in, I think, on 3 hours long.
Oh my God.
Well, there were 3 songs on his list that were each over 20 minutes. So he had over an hour in just 3 albums.
See, that wouldn't be me. That would be like Constant Motion and done. Like, because
so that would be your only one.
Yeah.
Which I don't blame you. That album is just killer.
It is.
Absolutely killer. All right. Before we go, please, Carrie, remind our listeners what your spin, shuffle, and skip picks are from Psychotic Symphony.
My spin is Alive. My shuffle is God of
the Sun.
And my skip is Figaro's Whore with no words at all.
With no dirty words at all.
No dirty words, yet a
yet the explicit lyrics. So,
yeah.
so some dirty keyboard work.
It is misfiled on Spotify.
My spin is Coming Home. My shuffle is Alive, and my skip is Labyrinth. Carrie, thank you so much. And to you, our listeners, if you want to hear the songs that we're talking about, we have actually posted the entire album from Spotify onto our website. So please give the album a listen, hear the songs, decide for yourself, and let us know what songs you would have picked. But as for now, you guys know the drill. If there is an album you want us to cover or an artist you'd love us to cover on There Can Only Be One, hit us up on social media at OnlyOneCast. Or go to our website at notthatbadcast.com. And while you're there, make sure you check out our Coming Soon page so you can see which episodes we are preparing to record, and let us know your thoughts or your picks on those episodes. We would love to shout you out in the show. Until next time, she's Carrie, I'm Jay. You guys and the Sons of Apollo are freaking awesome. This is Spin Shuffle Skip on the There Can Only Be One podcast channel, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Take care.